Hey, FootClan. Today's show is brought to you by our good friends at FantasyChamps.com, the one place that you need to go for your fantasy football trophies, rings, engraved cases, everything to celebrate your fantasy championship. And right now, if you have a fantasy team of any kind, you can celebrate that team with brand new customized fantasy football jerseys that they have over at FantasyChamps.com. This is the #1 place. Make sure you use the promo code BALLERS to get your custom fantasy football jersey.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the Redraft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
It's Friday, and we are so awake right now.
Oh, yeah,
There's one word.
Bringing my A game. This is show 712 this week without Mike, and it feels like it's only the 70th.
Jay Grizz has not been the help that we expected. I'm sorry to say, but well, you know what? You're lazy.
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to.
He hasn't moved all week.
No. And that's what's embarrassing. Mike will be back next week.
That's what's embarrassing?
Yeah, pretty embarrassing. Gosh,
Nailed
press the
it.
pause button, am I right?
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, the Fantasy Footballers, back again. Andy and Jason in the house. I am fresh off of one of those exceptional dad life evenings. Now, let me preface this by saying I love my children.
So that always means a good story is about to follow.
I love my children, but we are at the grade level with a kindergartner and a third grader where they have these winter concerts for the school. And there's a concert A. The first concert is kindergarten, first and second grade. And then there's concert B, and that's third through fifth grade.
Ah, the old age split.
Yeah, which means I get to go to 2 concerts back to back.
Lucky.
So I was gone for about 4 hours of listening to small children sing. And when my kids are on the stage, it's great, but that's only 2 of the
5
6
minutes.
grades.
5 minutes of the 5 hours.
Oh, and it was great because my third grader, he's very funny. Doesn't exactly love going to these things, and he's up on stage, and the music teacher's talking to the parents, the filled auditorium, and she's going, and these kids, they just love singing, and they love everything about it. They've learned how to do this and that, and they just enjoy it so much. And he's up there, and he's literally shaking his head left and right.
Nope.
And then we get in the car, and he goes, yeah, when she was saying that, I was just thinking, lies, all lies. So it was very funny. So that was my evening. How was your evening, Jason?
My evening, well, hey, you know what I did last night? I recorded. Now this is just, it's not official yet, but I believe the early reports are the best episode of all time of the Fantasy Footballers DFS show, which just released this morning. Mike out of town, so I had to step up, take over that.
Oh yeah, you hosted
gig.
that show last night.
So make sure if you haven't been listening to that, if you're maybe out of the playoffs, I had so much fun on DFS this week. So if you're playing FanDuel, DraftKings, Draft, if you just want to hear more of the dulcet tones of my voice,
yes, that's available for free.
For free. Just search Fantasy Football
When you said
DFS show.
you recorded it, I thought maybe like on DVR.
Right.
Like that's
yes.
what it sounded like. But you actually recorded it with Ben and Chris last night?
That is correct.
All right. Well, today we've got 9 matchups to get through. We'll get you prepped for Week 13. Hopefully this is it might be a big week for you. You might be clinching playoffs this week. This could be deciding a bye week.
Oh, Week 13 is always huge. I mean, people are in, people are out. Playoffs are decided.
Brooks and I are head-to-head in our Dynasty League, the final week. He's trying to break up my 12-0 season. Got off to an okay start. You had Alfred Morris, Samaje Perine, and Vernon Davis last night. Now, Davis let you down, Brooks. How you feeling?
Alf. The Dallas offense lives.
Alf. Yeah,
Alf.
that offensive line. It's always nice as a running back when you don't get hit till about 7-8 yards into the opposing secondary. But that game last night, Des Bryant came down with a big catch. Finally got off the schneid, so to speak. I think he had gone 7 games without a touchdown. And Dak did enough to get it done, but they leaned on the running game, and that's what makes Dak good. If you can play action pass, if you can keep the defense guessing, get them to pull a safety down, get them in man coverage, that's when Dak can do some work. But when the running game and the offensive line was not working, he did not look like a good quarterback.
The running offensive line's been working while Zeke's been gone. They just haven't. They've kind of changed their game plan. They just need to act like Zeke is still there because Alf can do enough to to placate that role and allow Dak to do the play action like you're talking about.
The funny thing is I think in the major metrics this year, Alf is actually outperforming Zeke.
Yes.
So it came down to something else than just Zeke missing.
It was Dak.
Yeah, it was Dak. So it is Friday, so
FootClan Friday.
all right, we've got a $40 gift card giveaway to shopballers.com where you can get all of the Fantasy Footballers gear, some fun fantasy football gear in general. And the winner today.
Did I win it?
It's not you. It's Daniel Fernandez.
Dang it.
Daniel Fernandez, congratulations. Well, yeah, you're not eligible.
Really?
$40 to shopballers.com. Congratulations. We'll send that out to you today. And thank you for supporting the show over at jointhefoot.com. You can follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. Get all the rankings and information you need at the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. We're also on Facebook. We did a live event this week over on facebook.com/thefantasyfootballers. And obviously, we're over on YouTube where you can see Jay Grizz in all of his hairy glory. Hairy glory. I've never used that word in my life.
That's a great phrase. If I had $1 for every time.
Okay. All right, we're going to skip the news and notes, get right into in and out, and talk about some of these injuries.
What's it gonna be, McFly? Are you in or out?
All right, position by position, Jason. It's all about you right here. Your opinions, they matter.
They're the only ones that usually do, so let's just go ahead.
All right, quarterback, Tom Brady, Cam Newton.
No practice Wednesday, limited Thursday, and of course Tom Brady's going to play. Same with Cam. No issues there. No
Devonta
worries.
Freeman, is he back?
Devonta Freeman passed concussion protocol. He is in.
Ooh, LaShawn McCoy not practicing on Friday, but expected to play. Do we have to worry about this?
I think you have to worry a little bit because a Friday missed practice is rare. But this is what LaShawn McCoy does. I mean, he's injured, but he plays. And when he plays, he gets injured for a play that looks like you've lost him for the season, and then he's back the next play. So I fully expect LaShawn McCoy to play. Mike Tolbert is out.
So Travaris Cadet handcuff, protect yourself?
Sure.
Maybe.
Gilly.
Amir Abdullah.
Amir Abdullah did not practice on Thursday because of his neck. That one's a little bit hard to tell. I'm going to say that he's going to be in.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's all I got for you. But that being said, I would not recommend Abdullah this week because of the combination of the injury and the Baltimore Ravens defense has just been outstanding.
Ty Montgomery, Aaron Jones.
Ty Montgomery, Aaron Jones, both were participating
in or
practice. Out.
Okay. Doug Martin. We just have a lot, Jason. I'm sorry.
Sure. Let's get through it.
Doug Martin?
Doug Martin not through the concussion protocol, out.
Lamar Miller.
He'll play.
DeMarco Murray sick.
He is sick. He will play.
Damian Williams.
Damian Williams will not play. He is going to be out several weeks, I think.
Adrian Peterson.
He
actually did practice yesterday. He got updated. That's the last report that I had was that Peterson actually got moved to practice. Have you not heard that, Brooks?
I had not heard that. From what I had seen from some of the beat reporters,
let me give you a most recent
little bit of concern.
Updating an earlier report, Adrian Peterson returned to practice on Thursday. He's on track to play.
Well, that's great news for Adrian Peterson. I actually do think it's a great matchup for him. So if he's a go, I was going to have him in my DFS lineup for yesterday's show, but I pivoted because of the neck injury.
Matt Forte.
Limited practice Thursday. I expect he will play.
Mike Davis.
Oh, full practice Thursday. This is actually big news. Mike Davis looks like he's on track to play, and he will be the starter if he plays for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, it's the worst matchup possible, so I would not recommend playing him against the Philadelphia defense, but it's great news if you picked him up off of waivers, or if he's still on waivers, go grab him, stash him.
Yeah, Lacey, McKissick, Davis, some form of those three will be in the backfield against the Eagles. Wide receivers, Amari Cooper.
Not practicing, he's a long shot to play.
Julio.
Julio is always limited in practice, barely practices, plays like a monster.
That's an in?
That's an in.
Robert Woods.
Robert Woods is out officially.
Josh Reynolds.
Upgraded to full practice Thursday. He should be in.
Kelvin Benjamin.
Out.
Jordan Matthews.
Limited Thursday. He'll be in. Still don't love his...
Any worry about Jarvis Landry?
You know, a little bit because he was a late addition to the injury report, so you've got to just keep monitoring, but I expect he'll play as of this moment.
Upgrade to Devontae Parker if he's out, obviously.
Yep.
Rashard Matthews?
Did not practice
What do you
Thursday,
think
missed last game, so I'm going to lean out.
Hogan?
Hogan, doubtful. I'm going to say out.
Will Fuller?
Not practicing, out.
Deshaun Jackson?
Deshaun Jackson, limited Thursday. I think that's more of a veteran thing. I expect he'll be in.
Tight ends? Do you expect Greg Olsen to play, and if so, would you play him?
I do expect him to play. The resting that foot, I think they're going to be cautious with him. I would play him if I needed to. If there was, you know, I see him as a low-end startable option.
Jimmy Graham?
Jimmy Graham did not practice Thursday or the rest of the season. He is fine. He will play, and I think he's a good play this week.
Tyler Kroft, Cameron Brake, Kobe Fleener.
All limited practices on Thursday. Kobe Fleener out. He is officially out. Josh Hill, a sneaky snart. Kroft and Brake, I think, will suit up.
All right, the Tomb Raider back out there?
Yeah.
Fantasy Forecast.
All right, let's jump back in the matchups. If you don't hear the matchup you're waiting for, it's because it was on yesterday's show.
Oh, and what a great show
Brooks,
it was.
Brooks, how do they get yesterday's show? How would you recommend them getting yesterday's show?
YouTube, iTunes, wherever you want.
Completely free.
Where would you want, Brooks?
YouTube.
Yeah, you're darn right, YouTube.
All right.
I got to see Jay Grizz.
Yeah.
And all his
What about us?
hairy glory.
Not my proudest moment.
I love it.
Sometimes, yeah. All right, the Broncos 3-8 take on the Dolphins 4-7.
In the garbage game.
This is the garbage game of the week. 38.5 point over under. I'm not excited about anything in this game, and both teams have huge losing streaks that they're inevitably going to. One of them's going to survive.
One of them will break it, and I believe it'll be the Broncos because they finally have gone back to their best quarterback, Trevor Siemian,
who is dealing with a flu bug.
Yeah, well, of course. It's the flu bug is called the Denver Broncos. I think this is also a get-right game for the Denver Broncos defense, or I should say I hope. I don't actually –
They've been okay.
Yeah.
They've had two bad games where they were blown out this year. The rest of the games, I think they've held opponents under 30 points. So they're not a terrible defense. And look, the Dolphins are a terrible offense. And this is why 38.5 point over-under is in play.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Broncos defense is a good enough play. One of the things that we have to kind of update ourselves on when we talk about the Broncos defense, due to some injuries and also some just, coming back to what we saw last year. In the beginning of the year, the Denver Broncos defense, when it came to rushing on them, was so good. They were one of, if not the best, over the first few weeks of the season. And since that point, like in the last 6 weeks, they are the 31st as far as giving up points to the running back position in fantasy football. They have been atrociously bad, and so now on the season, they're middle of the pack. This leads me to believe that Kenyon Drake could be a pretty good start. Damian Williams is out. There's no one else that's going to be competing for any kind of voluminous touches over there. And if the cornerbacks and the pass rush stay as good as they've been for Denver, then they're going to have to use Kenyon Drake. He's just a volume play who might be able to break something off long.
Yeah, if he's featured, he already has the upside of the big play, like you said. So Kenyon Drake, I'm comfortable starting him. Landry, if he's active, you always start him. Otherwise, right now, Kenny Stills is outperforming Devontae Parker. Stills actually has 322 receiving yards since Week 9 of the season, tied for 8th most in the league. You get Cutler back, who I like more with Devontae Parker. I think you should avoid both if you can.
Yeah, definitely agree. I would lean Parker if I had to choose one because of the quarterback. Stills has been better because of Matt Moore and because of Parker's stretch where he was out when Jay Cutler was in. But it's not the greatest matchup for wide receivers.
Do you expect Trevor Siemian and Demaryius Thomas to get some things done in this game? Emmanuel Sanders doesn't quite look healthy. I'm less confident in him. But Thomas, a bounce-back game, can we see it in this one?
Yeah, I think we can. Miami, for all of their faults, they're best against the wide receiver. But Demaryius Thomas,
compared to other positions?
Yes, compared to other positions. Demaryius Thomas should have a good game. And I'm excited to see what Devontae Booker does. This appears to me to be a team wanting to see what they have for the future. I mean, they obviously put Paxton Lynch in last week and said, we're not playing for right now. I mean, when you make that move, you're talking future. And C.J. Anderson, I don't necessarily expect him to be back with the team next year because of his contract situation. So that says Devontae Booker, the Dolphins, they're bad on the season. They're bad in the last 6 weeks against the run. I think the two running backs that have kind of come out of nowhere this year, Devontae Booker and Kenyon Drake, are my two favorite plays in this game.
All right, let's move on to the Chiefs and Jets. The Chiefs are in a tailspin. The Jets, they're 4-7, basically out of playoff contention. 44.5-point over-under. The Jets are at home. Head coach came out and said, look, Josh McCown's going to be my quarterback rest of the season. They're not looking to get Petty or anybody else in there right now. You have Matt Forte battling injury. You've got a mixed-up backfield with Elijah McGuire and Bilal Powell in New York. If you had to play somebody in that backfield, are you going with Forte despite the knee soreness?
Yeah, I am going with Forte. I mean, I'm almost always in a three-way timeshare going to go with the guy I expect to be the starter, the first option, and that appears to be Forte right now.
Robbie Anderson.
Oh.
Been absolutely great, and the Kansas City Chiefs have been absolutely not great against the wide receiver position. They give up 29.6 fantasy points per game. They've been 24th in the league over the last 6 weeks, 31st on the year. And they're one of the best teams to pass against.
Yeah, and what their problem is the amount of big plays they give up. They give up
number one in the league in terms of plays, rushes over 11 yards, passes over 15 yards. Explosive plays is how you define that.
Yeah, the explosive plays, passes over 15 yards. They're number one as in worst. So they're number
Correct.
32 in the league.
The Vikings give up the least. The Chiefs give up the most.
And then you have Robbie Anderson, who's averaged 17.4 yards per reception this season. That's the fourth best in the league. This is a perfect prime matchup for him.
Yeah, he's contractually obligated to have only explosive plays.
Right.
That's the rule. So, Robbie Anderson, excited about him. Josh McCown, I really like him as a top 12, top 10 play this week with upside.
I also think that Jermaine Kearse is – if you're in one of those pinches where you going, man, I really don't like my wide receivers, Jermaine Kearse, he's on your waivers right now. And if you start him, I would be shocked if you get a gooser or one of those 2 for 12 games. I think he's going to be serviceable. And if you're strong elsewhere, I think Kearse is a sneaky snart.
A lot of fantasy questions about the other side of the ball with Kansas City. Look, Alex Smith, he's returned to his vanilla ways. He's averaging just 9.2 yards per completion since week 9. That is the second worst in the league, and that is the old generic Alex Smith. Underneath passes, not threatening downfield. Everybody's feeling that in Kansas City right now.
I heard a couple weeks ago he took his, he had just gotten a pair of cutoff jean shorts.
Whoa.
And now, and then he threw them away.
He did.
I think he's going back to just
Is he in the Dockers?
Yeah, he's straight khakis now. So he's looking check down, short passes. I still think this is the type of defense with the Jets that you could see Tyreek Hill take one of those short passes and turn it into a 70-yard bomb touchdown. So for those reasons, I like Tyreek Hill. He's actually my start of the week. And Alex Smith, I think his floor is okay due to that, but I don't think we can bank. I mean, obviously, we cannot bank on Alex Smith as a top option anymore. He's not doing what made his game work in the beginning of the year. Someone needs to actually threaten that Pat Mahomes could take over this season, because I feel like that's what started the year off, where it's like, oh, Pat Mahomes, maybe he'll be the future, and so Alex Smith is like, oh, I got to throw the ball deep.
This falls on everybody. This falls on Andy Reid
for sure.
Not using Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is not in an automatic one anymore. I mean, he hasn't had a 100-yard game in a while. He's not getting into the end zone. And Kareem Hunt right now, you have to lower your expectations. You cannot build your team around Kareem Hunt as though he's going to carry it.
I don't think he's an automatic start this week either, not just an automatic one. There are several teams that I've fielded questions for where they have enough good options where I would rather start one of those over Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt has had some really, really bad games lately, and now you look at this matchup, you think of the Jets as a bad D or a bad overall team, but in the last 6 weeks, they are the number 2 in the league at points given up to the running back position, pushing them to top 10 on the season. So
you're not starting a guy like Latavius Murray or Adrian Peterson over Hunt, are you?
I'm not starting them over, but here's
Christian McCaffrey, though, against New Orleans.
Christian McCaffrey, I would. Deion Lewis, I would. I mean, there are some guys out there that you're going to have on teams with Kareem Hunt where I might go, I'm just going to wait, because if Kareem Hunt comes out again and gets 11 carries against a great pass rush while he's not looking good and the Kansas City defense is reeling, I'm not saying you need to bench.
This is full panic
him
alert
by
though.
any
If
means.
this is if he has a complete dud of a game, teams are going to have to adjust to win in the playoffs.
Yep.
That's the plain and simple truth. Before we get on to the Titans and Texans matchup, I do want to take a second. Thank today's sponsor, Casper Mattresses. Now, look, Jason and I, we're heading out of town. We'll be in New York for the weekend for the draft event, and I'm going to miss my Casper. I might need to write a little note, leave it on the pillow, tell my Casper mattress I'll be back soon, because I'm going to miss it. That hotel mattress is not going to stand up to what the Casper brings me. And the Casper, that's a sleep brand that continues to revolutionize its line of products. Now they have the original Casper, the Wave mattress, and the Essential mattress, perfectly designed to soothe and cradle your natural geometry. That's important, right, Jay?
Yeah, my geometry needs cradling.
My wife and I, we bought a Casper a couple years ago. We still absolutely love it. Great night's sleep. The unboxing experience was easy. Yeah, look, it comes in the mail. If you don't like it, they've got a guarantee, a 100-night risk-free trial. And you can start sleeping ahead of the curve right now with Casper. Get $50 towards any mattress purchase by visiting Casper.com/footballers and using footballers at checkout. That's Casper.com/footballers. Offer code is footballers for $50 off your mattress purchase. Terms and conditions do apply. And like I said, this is an absolutely great mattress. They have a breathable design. It helps you sleep cool. And most importantly, it cradles your natural geometry.
Yes, most importantly. Hey, we also want to give a big shout-out to Harry's this holiday season. Harry's, they're the razors that I and Andy have used for years now.
A generation.
Almost a
That's
generation.
not true, but
not factually accurate, but a while. And I love the razors because, one, the actual blades and the razor head is as good as any razor I've ever seen in my life, but I actually prefer the handle. I like the weight, the meat of it. It makes a great holiday gift set. Right now, this holiday, Harry's is offering a custom and limited edition shaving sets that really do make the perfect gifts. Their gift sets come, they're built with your guy or yourself in mind, so you know that you're going to love them. Here's some of the things that come in those sets. 5 blade cartridges that provide a close, comfortable shave, a really nice special limited edition winter chrome and emerald green handles, and you can personalize it with engraving. The gift sets, they start at just $10, so it is very easy. You will be very happy with Harry's. So this holiday, give Harry's and give handsome. Get your holiday shopping done early. Take advantage of free shipping to get the limited edition holiday shave set while supplies last. Go to harrys.com/footballers. That's harrys.com/footballers.
all right, let's talk Texans-Titans. What are the headlines in this game? I mean, you have a matchup where I think a lot of people want to start the Titans D based on Tom Savage and his inability to hold on to the ball. I think if Savage has another terrible game in terms of ball security, you may see a benching in line for Tom Savage. He's looked fine at times. He knows how to lock into DeAndre Hopkins. That makes him look good. Are you confident with any of the pieces on the Houston side of the ball?
Well, yeah, I'm definitely confident with DeAndre Hopkins. He has been otherworldly in very difficult matchups. It's one of these things I kind of mentioned on the DFS show. The only thing that would get in the way of Hopkins having a great game, because the matchup is fantastic, is the fact that nothing says he can have a bad game. I mean, it's just one of those. He just put up against the Los Angeles Rams, the Arizona Cardinals with Patrick Peterson, the Baltimore Ravens, 3 back-to-back-to-back games with over 110 yards or a touchdown in all of those with Savage. And now you come up against a terrible Tennessee defense. I mean, there's no projectable reason that DeAndre Hopkins wouldn't be a top 5 wide receiver, which is why he'll end up the wide receiver 200 on the week.
Just from the fantasy football predictability index?
Absolutely. Lamar Miller, I also think, is a startable asset. His volume is secure. The backups behind him aren't, encroaching on his touches, and this is a game where they're going to need those two guys to stay in it.
Lamar Miller owners need to handcuff with Alfred Blue remainder of the season. You saw Miller miss some time last game. Mariota, been very disappointing. He's already got more interceptions this year than he's had in either of his first 2 years. Not protecting the ball, not finding a groove. His predictability has been maybe the most difficult quarterback in the league, in my opinion. Now, you also have the split backfield of Henry and Murray. What are you looking at from the Tennessee side? Is there anything that you can bank on? Is it just Delanie Walker as the only bankable asset here in this matchup?
because it's against the Houston Texans, I would usually say that you can still start DeMarco Murray in just about every matchup. But the Houston Texans, they're third best on the season, sixth best over the last 6 weeks against the running back. So I would say Delaney Walker is the only one that is a surefire. If you have him, you're going to start him. Now, that being said, DeMarco Murray is so involved in the passing game that if you are in a half-point or full-point league, I would still say, despite the tough matchup against Houston, I'm willing to throw him out there because he always has, just like last week, the chance of touchdowns, and he'll have a safe floor with the receptions. But I don't think you can expect any, a couple weeks ago, his big 30-point game. That's not happening against Houston.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk Browns and Chargers. The Browns still fighting for that first win. They're 0-11. They take on the Chargers, who are almost 2-touchdown favorites at home. Chargers are on fire right now. That offense is on fire, 41.5-point over-under.
Their defense is on fire.
Absolutely. They're playing great. I mean, they started the year, 0-4?
Mm-hmm.
And now you're looking at Phillip Rivers coming off a 400-plus yard game. He's averaged Keenan Allen has 379 receiving yards since Week 9. If you listen to Phillip Rivers talk about their situation, Phillip Rivers likens it to when Allen got off to that super hot start before the injury. He said they're back on that level, and he even said, hey, maybe it's not sustainable, but right now he's playing at that level, Keenan Allen is. Whenever you have a quarterback that has an elite wide receiver playing at that level, all the fantasy points, they rise together. Keenan Allen is a must-start. Phillip Rivers, a must-start in this game. Melvin Gordon, a must-start in this game. Hunter Henry?
Yeah, Hunter Henry to me is also a must-start because the Cleveland Browns are notoriously bad against the tight end. I believe they've given up a touchdown in their last 4 games and in the majority of their games on the season. So Phillip Rivers, who has not only a knack but has records for throwing touchdowns to the tight end position with Hunter Henry, this is just a prime matchup. He was my start of the week. You can't always bank on the Goose. That's why he's nicknamed the Goose. But this is one of those matchups where I think you pretty much are going to start all of those aforementioned Chargers against Cleveland. They're in Los Angeles. Should be a great game for the Chargers.
Yeah, one of the keys there, Phillip Rivers only sacked 1 time since Week 9.
It's helpful.
Yeah, it makes it easier. And he's throwing the ball a lot, so that's impressive for that offensive line. Now the Browns, on the Browns side of the ball, I like Isaiah Crowell. Look, there is a giant gaping hole in the Chargers defense. You said how well they're playing. The hole has been in the running game. They're giving up 25.4 fantasy points per game over the last 6 weeks. The running back position, I think Isaiah Crowell can capitalize on that opportunity. And so he's the one player. Now I'm more excited to watch Josh Gordon return. Everything that Hugh Jackson seems to indicate is that they're going to put him out there. He's starting. We know that now.
Right.
He's starting the game. They're going to give him as much work as possible. I think they're going to force feed him a little bit. I like him more than Corey Coleman. I know I'm in the minority there.
You are certainly in the opposite opinion of
now. How opposite are we?
Man, what a brutal matchup to bet anything on these wide receivers. But you got it.
Waterbed.
Yeah, no,
I want some skin in the game for Josh Gordon this week.
Sure, and this is where make your side bets on Josh Gordon. Don't put him in your fantasy lineup this week.
I agree with that.
Even if you might win because he has 1 catch for 8 yards and Corey Coleman gets shut out. I mean,
that's
Chargers,
the way it looks right now.
This is why you're saying, hey, if you're going to bank on someone from the Browns, bank on the running game. And the reason why is because the Chargers are the second best team on the season against tight end. They're third best on wide receivers over the last 6 weeks and 5th best against quarterbacks. They are a funneling defense that is shutting down the passing game, but they're 30th against the running back. So that is where you want to focus. The only other one that we can't move on before saying, start the Chargers defense special teams. They are getting after the quarterback like crazy. DeShone Kizer, his best move in the NFL is holding on to the ball too long.
Yes.
Like, that is his forte. That's, he has won awards
superpower
for just standing there and taking sacks, and he's going to take a lot.
He's won awards.
He is going to take a lot of sacks in this game. So, yeah, I love Corey Coleman and what I've been seeing from him. Definitely would rather bank on him than Josh Gordon, but I don't want either option in this game. I think Duke Johnson is fine. I agree Isaiah Crowell is fine.
All right, the Panthers and Saints, 8-3, divisional game. Look, it's a 48.5 point. I'm sorry, it's a 48-point over/under in New Orleans. Yet both of these defenses have been incredible over the last 6 weeks and on the season. There aren't really gaping holes in either defense. Lattimore should be back out there. At least that's what I'm hoping to see for the Saints secondary. So something's got to give. The
last report that I saw, it was that I thought Lattimore was more on the doubtful side. So it is worth monitoring. I agree with you, Andy. I've seen a lot of analysts and a lot of articles written up that are really hoping for big offensive things in this game, and everything in my gut says, why? What's going to make you look? I realize that the Saints rushing game has been unbelievably good, but they're going up against the fourth hardest to run on team in the league in the Panthers, and you've got two offenses that, aside from that one segment, I don't think either offense has been, blowing down the walls, and both defenses have been stifling,
like the big bad wolf,
huffing and puffing and blowing it down. So this is I worry that this could be a trap game. I would love to see.
So you take the under of the 48?
I would take the under of the 48. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still starting Devin S. Funchess. There it is.
You got to give me some lead time on that, man.
Yeah,
I was looking at the Saints
it's a
side
Friday.
of the ball.
I can do whatever I want.
Do whatever you want.
I think I really like Cam Newton in this game.
You think you do? You actually are the authority on whether you think that or not.
Hold on, let me check.
That's like when the head coach says, I think that we'd like to get,
right, him the ball.
Get this guy some more snaps.
You call the plays.
So do you believe Cam Newton's a good player?
I do believe Cam Newton is a good play because of the stupid rule in fantasy where quarterbacks get so many more points for rushing yards than passing yards. Cam Newton has been rushing the ball a ton. I do believe that his finger has caused an issue right now with his passing, but good news, he's never been a great passer, so he's going to be fine for fantasy. Of course, you're still going to start both Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. You can't get off of those. So I
guess the shade you're throwing on the game from a total point standpoint, is there anybody that impacts in terms of starting? Like Drew Brees. He's not been that great this year. I think people want to know, do you play Drew Brees in this game?
Yeah, you do. I mean, I guess what the shade that I'm throwing is not, hey, sit these guys. The shade that I'm throwing is take a look at the rest of your roster and pick if you're playing, Cam and Ingram, or if you're going to be starting Drew Brees and Christian McCaffrey. I'm saying take a look at the rest of your fantasy roster and maybe make a decision to have bigger play options. Throw Deshaun Jackson in your lineup. Throw those guys because you might need those points to catch up if this is a trap game.
Breaking news.
I want to report a report.
That's what we do.
There's some rumors that Aaron Rodgers may begin practicing on Saturday.
Yes, I need to make the playoffs in the dynasty league because I win the championship because my team is so good. If I have Aaron Rodgers back for the playoffs.
Wow.
That's how I feel about that.
That's how you feel about that report.
Sorry, everybody.
No apology needed. Aaron Rodgers is well worth a tune.
No, I'm apologizing to the curmudgeons in the car that just went, I hate that guy.
Oh. Well, look, he's not eligible to return until Week 15. Let's make that clear.
True.
He won't be able to play until Week 15. But like I said yesterday on the show, you've got Tampa Bay at home for the Packers. Then you have Cleveland. Cleveland has they got no wins.
I will say this from that report. The Minnesota Vikings defense, because of some of their schedule, they've been dropped in a good chunk of leagues, and people are looking at the playoff schedule and they go, oh my goodness, the Minnesota Vikings defense plays Green Bay that championship week. You might be picking them up. If that report is to be believed, then less of a good pickup. Maybe look elsewhere.
Well, let me say this. First of all, Brooks, you let me down a little bit. You did not switch over to that camera quick enough to see that solo song by Jason.
I'm sorry.
I don't
think
to work harder.
I don't think he or you or
knew
even myself knew it was going to last that long.
No, nobody.
I
knew
let
that.
the joy flow out of my body, which also means, hey guys, go look at Jordy Nelson on the waivers as a stash option if he is going to come back for those playoffs, Week 15, Week 16.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the Rams and the Cardinals. The Rams are 8-3. Big win last week. Head to Arizona, taking on the blonde bombshell himself, Blaine Gabbert. The Cardinals are 7-point home underdogs.
I think a lot of that is on the basis of the last time these two teams met. They had a 40-0 shutout in London.
It was 33-0. But I'm almost positive.
All right, you check that because 40-0 sounds so much cooler that I'm going to stick with that.
Okay, but if it's inaccurate,
inaccurate, I will
33-0, Jason.
Just like I thought. Felt like it's like the wind chill.
Right,
it was 33-0. Felt like 40-0.
Felt like 40-0.
That's
fair. Just like the wind chill factor.
Yes. No, but I mean, they got shellacked. The Arizona offense couldn't do anything in that game, and that
was a Palmer game.
Was that the game that Palmer got injured and left?
Yeah, it was a game in which
everything went wrong.
Souls of Cardinals fans were injured. It wasn't good. Now, this is interesting because the Rams are coming off the big-time win against the New Orleans Saints. But Arizona, they won last week. They beat the Jaguars. And, Larry Fitzgerald, he's not going to face Jalen Ramsey for a second time. And what do we expect out of, Fitzgerald, Cooper Kupp? Both of them are in the top 10 in reception since week 9. Do you start both of those players in this game?
Yeah, you definitely can start either one of those options. Larry Fitzgerald is at home. He's played far better at home.
Far better.
Now we've seen
12 points a game better.
Yeah, we've seen a game with Blaine Gabbert to know, okay, he is going to get targeted. He's going to be the #1 guy. So you can start Larry Fitzgerald. It's not the best matchup for either team, and you do need to realize that because there was the narrative of Patrick Peterson is shutting down the wide receiver 1, and Justin Bethel is letting all the other wide receivers go to town. But Justin Bethel got the bench about 7 weeks ago, and over the last little while, the last 6 weeks, the Arizona Cardinals, they're the 6th best team now against wide receivers. So the Cooper Kupp love he's been getting, I think it's warranted without Woods. He has been involved enough. The targets are there. I'm definitely not saying you have to bench Cooper Kupp at all.
I love Cooper Kupp. We are definitely in opposition on this one. You don't like the narrative that Kupp is going to go ham with Peterson shutting down Watkins.
I see Cooper Kupp this week as one of those wide receiver low end 2 or 3 flex area type of guys. And I think a lot of people see Kupp as that monster game coming where he's going to finish the week up in the top 15. I just don't think that's
I see him right around 15. So I don't think we're very different on our prediction. I think maybe you think I like him more than I do. But look, he was great last week. That's what it comes down to.
I would
Robert Woods. They expect Robert Woods back in week 15.
Yeah, and no shocker here, but this is a great game for Todd Gurley. The funneling defense to the running back, especially Todd Gurley through the air, I think he's going to get it done. You're going to play pretty much all of those options. I wouldn't play Sammy Watkins.
No.
Patrick Peterson has done a great job on the wide receiver 1s. Adrian Peterson on the other side of the ball.
At home, they'll feed him.
Yeah, they will feed him at home. He's looked much better at home. And on the season, the Rams are the 31st worst team.
31st worst.
31st best, right? Yeah, they're the 31st best.
Just 31st against?
Yeah.
Is that what you're going for?
Because they're bad.
Yes.
There you go. They just haven't been
they're the
able
worst
to
at
shut
31st.
down. They haven't been able to shut down the running back. So I do think you could play Adrian Peterson in this game, and that's coming from a guy who has not always believed in AP. I think he is a matchup, home road, and rest. You got to take a lot of things into consideration, but those things point to a good week from AP this week.
Ricky Seals-Jones. Take a shot with Seals-Jones. Would you play him over a guy like Tyler Kroft?
Man, that's a good one. I don't think I would. I don't think I would play him over Tyler Kroft this week. I want one more week. I have picked Seals-Jones up where I can, and he's a one more week hold before I line him up.
The Giants take on the Raiders in Oakland. If you want the inverse of the Carolina-New Orleans defensive battle that we're kind of looking at, despite the 48-point over-under, the Giants and Raiders, well, they suck.
Yeah,
they just can't play defense. And it doesn't matter if you look on the year or in the last 6 weeks, they both.
It's all green.
It's all bad. They're against every position. Both teams are outside the top 15 in terms of giving up more fantasy points it's amazing the amount of points that the Giants are giving up to the wide receiver position right now. And then the Raiders are like, hey, hold my beer. Watch this.
And Janoris Jenkins is out at the so that's even better news for, I know, Seth Roberts, another great sneaky play this week, because if Amari Cooper doesn't play,
which we don't expect him to, and
Michael Crabtree is suspended, someone's going to get those targets. Now, if it's Cordarrelle Patterson, which our man Ben Cummins believes there, or Johnny Holton, I mean, that's the one downside of Seth Roberts.
He's not locked and loaded to be the guy. He's just a bet.
Right.
There will be a guy.
Yes, that's for sure. One of those three guys will have a great fantasy game. This is why on DFS I was saying you might want to construct some lineups, like 3 different lineups, plug each one of those guys in, because someone there is going to have a really nice game.
It's a good point. And Marshawn Lynch is going to be the biggest benefactor of limited pass-catching options. They used him a ton last week, more than we've seen him used all year. And he's going to have an opportunity against this Giants defense that's just not that good. He's at home in Oakland. I really like Marshawn.
Love Marshawn Lynch this week. He is a great play. If you've got him in, on your roster, he's usually one of those guys you're considering every week. Do I bench? Do I play? This is an absolute play week. Now, on the other side of the ball, if I was Geno Smith, this is the defense I would want to come in against.
Yeah, soft landing spot.
Yeah. So can you stream
Geno?
Of feathers. A bed of feathers. Geno has a nice baseline because he's a rushing quarterback. I mean, we've seen, when Jacoby Brissett first got his start, he was terrible. I mean, awful when it comes to throwing the ball and knowing the scheme and having the rapport with the wide receivers. But he was still okay for fantasy because he was rushing the ball.
Yeah, look, I think people may want to be fully hands-off on the Giants, but that may cost you. If you don't take a shot here,
it's a great matchup for Sterling Shepard.
It's going to cost you. Yeah, I think Shepard and Ingram, while I don't have the knowledge, like you're taking a guess here as opposed to a track record that you had with Eli. But look, Eli wasn't moving the ball very well. I mean, it's not like we don't know who Geno's going to love to throw to, but guess what? You throw it to your best players, and Evan Ingram, second most targets at the tight end position, 5th on the year at the tight end position. You can't sit him.
No.
You got to play him against Oakland. And then the same thing, Sterling Shepard, by far the best wide receiver they have.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is sometimes the backup doesn't come in. It comes in, it doesn't throw to that wide receiver one. But this is the case where you have one guy who can separate and get open on almost every play, and then you have, 3 other guys that you are going – if you throw towards them, it's – well, I guess maybe Oakland will say, they can get separation this week, but I do think Sterling Shepard has a good week this week.
Yeah, and
his health is under control right now.
Just to reemphasize that, with a younger quarterback, a quarterback coming into his first start with the Giants, you're talking about read progression. If you're the number 1 wide receiver and you're the first read, generally you're not going to have these younger quarterbacks be able to walk through that progression as well. So if the shot is there and he has separation, Shepard, Ingram, I think they'll be okay. Let's talk about a much more exciting matchup.
Yeah, the one thing I will say before we move on, and I know we said it yesterday because it was your start of the week, but Jared Cook is another great option.
Yes.
I think he's as close to a must-start tight end as there is this week.
Yep, absolutely. The Eagles, 10-1. They head to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. I was listening
what a game.
To the radio yesterday. I believe the Seahawks have 4 out of their next 5 games. They are technically underdogs. So This is going to be push comes to shove for the Seahawks without Sherman, Chancellor in that defense. 7-4 right now. They're 5.5-point underdogs at home. When's the last time the Seahawks have been 5.5-point underdogs at home? I don't know when that's been. I'm going to guess 100 years.
Yeah, I'll take the over on that on that guess. It's fascinating. I mean, this is 2 of the best NFC teams. Forget fantasy for a second. This is a game that the entire NFL and the entire world of NFL fans are going to be watching, salivating, saying this could be the NFC championship game between the Seahawks and the Eagles. The Eagles have been the best offense and the best defense over the last few weeks. And when you get that combination,
10-1.
It's you're 10-1, you're pretty good. Over the last 6 weeks, the Eagles, this is one of the reasons I really like Jimmy Graham in this matchup. The Eagles, they're the second best against quarterbacks, the first best against running backs, and the second best against wide receivers. That's pretty good. But they're 15th against tight end. The ball has to go somewhere, and I think Jimmy Graham is the only somewhat safe option. Now, you're still going to play Doug Baldwin, right?
Yeah, you are, but I love the Jimmy Graham take too, because Yeah, you're definitely playing Baldwin. But I love the Graham take because not only can they not run the ball, like Seattle cannot run the ball, but then the Eagles don't allow running the ball. So you mix those two things together. If they get around the goal line, which they will, they're at home, it's going to be a Jimmy Graham opportunity every single time. That's what we've seen all year long. He's their running game inside the 5. So I love Jimmy Graham. I'm with you on that. He's your start of the week, right?
Yep.
Okay, and then
maybe
he
should
honorary.
No, honorary.
It's a Goose.
Oh yeah, I got the Goose
Hunter.
as my start of the week.
Fine. Jimmy Graham's an auto start. That's why you didn't do start of the week.
Exactly.
Doug Baldwin, you're playing. We talked about the running backs already. I would avoid all of them. We just said why. Russell Wilson's an auto start.
If you're not going to avoid one and you had to play one, it would be J.D. McKissick for me.
Okay. On the other side of the ball, there's not a lot to talk about. Carson Wentz, you're starting him. The Seahawks defense is
Andy.
Yeah. Voice of public opinion.
Carson Wentz is going to Seattle, and they're really, really, really good against quarterbacks.
They're pretty good. Sunday night game, they'll probably be all amped up, but against wide receivers, they're 20th in the league. Tight ends, 20th. He's got Zach Ertz to throw to. Quarterbacks, they're middle of the pack this year.
Over the last 6 weeks, certainly. Yeah.
And Carson Wentz is that was the last 6 weeks, but Carson Wentz is great. The question people need to ask is, can I start any of the running backs? Because on one hand, the Eagles, they've averaged 180 yards rushing per game. So somebody's going to be great.
Or several.
However, the Seahawks, 8th against the run, and then Jay Ajayi, no confidence, and no fantasy owner has confidence in him right now. So how do you rank Blunt, Ajayi, Clement before we move on?
Blunt, Ajayi, Clement, I would rank exactly like that. Blunt, Ajayi, Clement, but Clement has been the one that looks the best. When I watch the games, I think he looks the best, but they traded for Ajayi, and Ajayi has not looked bad. Nobody's looked bad. I mean, this Eagles offensive line, they're opening it up. So I think you can start any one of those 3 guys, but I don't expect them to, I feel like all 3 are going to finish at like that, running back 25 to 30 range where they're not going to completely crap your team, but they're not going to help you win if you're going up against a really tough opponent.
All right, let's talk about the Monday night matchup, the Steelers and the Bengals, 43.5-point over-under in Cincinnati. The Bengals need this game in order to stay in the playoff picture. The Steelers obviously on fire at 9-2. Big Ben, 2 straight huge games. Now, I pumped the brakes on Big Ben because over the last 2 years, not only when he plays Cincinnati, his numbers come down, but when he plays Cincinnati in Cincinnati, they become pretty bad. Now, he's probably going to be able to get some things done. That generally happens with Lev Bell, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, going to be back. However, the Bengals, pretty good against the wide receiver position, okay against the quarterback, at home. Do you agree with that take? Are you tempering expectations for Big Ben, or are you starting him as an automatic top 12 guy?
No, I'm not starting him as an automatic top 12 guy. Big Ben's home road splits are notorious, and he's had those stretches where you have those monster back-to-back touchdown games, and then he disappears. The fact that he's in division in a game that Vegas is saying is not going to be a shootout on the road, and the road games are look, that's Le'Veon Bell's territory. Le'Veon Bell is great on the road. They run the ball, and if you look at what the Bengals defense has been doing lately, they're over the last 6 weeks, they're top 10 against wide receivers, and they're 27th against running backs. So I think they have given up so many games to a running back 1 or 2 over the last few weeks. I think over the last 6 weeks, they've given up 8 RB1 or 2 performances. So the Bengals, who you view as the stout run D, that's kind of gone away a little bit. So Le'Veon Bell, obviously you are going to start him, but because he succeeds, if he succeeds, I think that takes away a little bit from Big Ben. Now, Juju is practicing in full, should be back. He is a star in the making. I keep saying that. And
Juju or Funchess?
I would go Funchess.
Okay, just make it sure.
He's the number 1 option on his team versus Juju. Still, he's never going to be the number 1 while Antonio Brown is there.
Is Jesse James a sneaky snart in this game? The Bengals can't cover the tight end.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse James is one of those guys where at the end of the week you'll be happy because he'll have 2 for 8 and a touchdown. So I don't really like starting those type of guys.
Andy Dalton, Joe Mixon. Look, Joe Mixon, second most rushing attempts in the NFL since week 9.
Wow.
65 attempts. I've been saying it all week. Despite the Steelers being a stout run defense, Joe Mixon's volume dictates you have to start him. Last week, played the Browns. Browns were a stout run D, but had a feeling about him. He went out there and performed. I think you got to start him, and they need to lean on him at home in this game. And it's going to be in the passing game too. So Joe Mixon, I think you can start him. He's a must-start for me. A.J. Green, obviously. Otherwise, I'm probably avoiding Dalton. I'm probably not taking the dice roll on Croft myself. You have any other thoughts on that?
The only other thought I would have, I'm not quite as confident on Mixon. I mean, you should still start him because of volume, but the Steelers have been really good against the run all year, and then over the last 6 weeks,
last
even
week.
better.
Jamal Williams had a good game.
Yeah, a lot of that came in the passing game. Do you think? Never mind. I was gonna throw out Brandon LaFell, but
no.
Let's move on. This is
Let's
week
move
13.
on. Let's talk about something else. So, by the way, crazy stat: the Steelers have run the ball the second lowest amount of time since week 9, 35%. That's crazy when you have a great runner.
Yeah, it's because they don't use anyone else. Like. You think, oh, they hand the ball off all the time. No, just to one guy.
But still,
they don't let anybody else touch it.
That's crazy.
It is.
That's crazy. All right, look, this weekend, I mentioned it before, Jason and I, we're going to be up in New York City for the World Series of Fantasy finale. We'll be hosting that event, and right now it's time for...
The Daily Dose, brought to you by Draft.
All right, today's a head-to-head matchup, and we're going to mirror the format for the World Series of Fantasy final event. There's an 8-man tournament, only the morning games and the afternoon games. No Sunday night, no Monday night football. Jason and I picking 5 players going head-to-head.
Head-to-head.
And Jason, you're on the clock.
I am on the clock, and I'm going to take Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, that's not allowed.
That is not allowed.
He's in the Monday night game, Jason.
That's correct. So that stinks. This week there are there's obviously a lot of different good options. We've gone through every matchup. If I've got the number 1 pick, I'm trying to see, there's only one position that I actually think has a tier of one player by himself. So even though this is the least valuable position usually, this week I'm going to roll Terrific Tom out there. I think I'm fine with the second pick at every position this week.
Interesting.
And I like Tom the most at quarterback. So
well, I get to draft back-to-back now, and I'm going to take Alvin Kamara straight away.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Going to make him my first pick. I love Alvin Kamara. His baseline's great. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put Todd Gurley right in the lineup with him. I'm going to go running back, right out of the gate.
Well, that means just strategery-wise, it would make no sense for me to draft running backs. So at this point, I've got to flip over to the other side and probably forced to go wide receiver, or at least pass catcher, because I'm going to stack Tom Brady with Rob Gronkowski on draft. You've got that wide receiver, tight end flex role. And the only other option, I'm almost tempted. This might sound crazy. I'm almost tempted to go Devontae Adams, your start of the week, with all the other great options out there, just because of how bad the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been. But I'm going to actually stick with my guy who's been winning me weeks lately, Keenan Allen at home against the Cleveland Browns. Those will be my 2 wide receiver tight end position.
Yeah, and again, with the strategy, I don't need to draft quarterback. You took a quarterback to start this matchup, so my 2 picks are going to be pass catchers as well. I'm having a hard time deciding now between – I think Antonio Brown's a done deal. I'm going to take Antonio Brown, but now I'm trying to choose Hopkins against Tennessee or Julio Jones against Minnesota. I'm going to go Hopkins.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you would not say.
So I'm down to my quarterback. You've got 2 picks on the board.
And I've got 2 running backs to select. I'm going Le'Veon Bell again.
Don't you cheat on me.
But then I would win if I got to go Le'Veon Bell. That would be great. I
winning. Just broke the rules.
Did you?
Yeah. I took Antonio Brown.
Oh, well, then I am going Le'Veon Bell, and we're even.
Oh,
boom,
gosh.
bam.
Yeah, I broke the rules. I wasn't supposed to touch the Monday night game.
I appreciate it. But I'm going to go with the home game with the guy who's up near the top in carries, Jordan Howard, against the San Francisco 49ers.
I can't believe I did that.
I appreciate it, because if I had to pick one of Antonio Brown or Le'Veon Bell this week on the road, I got the one.
And I can't even complain. So I've got Rivers as my last pick against Cleveland. Rivers, Kamara, Gurley, Brown, and Hopkins are my 5.
I got Tom Brady, Le'Veon Bell, Jordan Howard, Rob Gronkowski, and Keenan Allen.
Boy, when it's head-to-head, you get all the best players, don't you?
Yeah, our teams both sound pretty good.
Pretty darn good. All right, don't forget draft.com/ballers to come and play along with us. It's been a really fun year with the guys over at Draft. It's going to be a fun event in New York, and it's fun to play every week. I mean, the DFS game is great. If you're knocked out of the playoffs this week, you got something fun to do for the remainder of the year over at Draft.
What's great is, like, think about this week, right? We're going to have fun in New York, but Monday night, now you and I, we already know that our matchup is going to be Le'Veon Bell versus Antonio Brown in some way, shape, or form, and we got something riding on that Monday night game now.
Absolutely. So it's been fun this week. Thanks, Jay Grizz, for filling in for Mike. Yep, okay, we know. He's always bragging.
Yeah, he's very braggy.
But
in all of his hairy glory.
Okay, we had to bring that back. Don't forget, Mike will be on Periscope Sunday morning. We will be giving you the latest information, all of the in and out reports. Brooks makes sure on Patreon that you have the game day alerts over at jointhefoot.com, so you don't miss anything. Follow us on Twitter at the FFBallers. It's been a lot of fun, Jason. Thanks for sitting next to me this week.
Yeah, thank you for letting me.
All right, we'll talk to you on Monday. Take care.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter at the FFBallers.